Okay, what up, guys? This is going to be the first video for this channel, and the objective of these videos is just to, break down what makes professional wrestling, at least what I believe makes it, and just kind of go across the different styles, look into in-ring psychology, just, I guess, really getting into the specifics and the nitty-gritty of the in-ring action. So, for the first episode, we're going to start with the man himself, the head of the table, the tribal chief, and we're going to be comparing his ring work as a face or good guy versus the heel that he is now as the kind of final boss, tribal chief Roman Reigns. So, yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, if we look here, we're going to talk about the selling. Selling is how you receive supposed impacts and blows in the wrestling match. And when I look at Roman's selling at this time as a face, I would say generally speaking, Roman is quite a good seller. But I would say that his selling here as a face just seemed kind of a bit too exaggerated, a little bit goofy, a bit too much of the O face going on there. It just didn't really feel as measured versus the changes you see as a heel, which we'll get into in a moment. Yep, so even like here, we see another case of the kind of exaggerated selling where he just comes across as really exasperated. He's like gasping for air and he's like, oh, like, help me, please, please. Like, this guy, is he going to take me out? Is this going to be it? And normally that would work, especially as a face where, you've got that heel face dynamic where the heel is working down on the face and kind of, wearing away at him. And then the baby face is kind of like you doing that selling to try to kind of gain the sympathy and emotional investment from the fans. But it just, it reads as if, Roman is selling like he's the underdog in this match, which, anyone who kind of tunes into the WWE programming enough or, just a little bit knows that this isn't the case. So then when you're watching it and you're seeing the kind of way he's selling, it just seems a bit forced and a bit melodramatic. But it's just like, huh? This is Roman Reigns against like Buddy Murphy. You're selling this like it's kind of like a make or break match and as if he's pushing you to the limit when we know, generally speaking, that's just not the case. So yeah, I think that was, going back to like the type of selling he had as a face.
Rise into the occasion in the big fight of tonight. All that pent-up emotion, all the turmoil that Roman Reigns has been dealing with. He is taking it out on Buddy Murphy. Big boot and down goes Murphy. Murphy is definitely going to remember.
Okay, so yeah, I guess let's just take a moment to review those series of moves. I would say that the face Roman, his wrestling style, much like many other faces, especially like the top wrestlers of the brand at any given time, it's very heavy impact, constant hard hitting, like he's just always kind of like banging and attacking away. And, he's got like his, maybe his 4 or 5 moves that he uses to kind of help build up momentum. And I guess this is something that as a face, it's kind of necessary to have that sort of familiar move set that helps to build up the momentum and get the crowd pumped and hyped. But I kind of feel like, Roman, in terms of his style, especially as a face compared to him as a heel now, he just didn't, it's a bit too fast paced. He doesn't really take a moment to sort of like relax and kind of like, or at least kind of slow it down and kind of take things in and appreciate the situation and let the fans do that. And in turn, it kind of creates a situation where he can like gas himself out and just kind of a bit all over the place, like a bit of a pinball machine. That's what you could describe this match to be, to an extent, where it's just back and forth, one end to another, one end to another. And, you know, if you're not paying attention, it's like difficult to sort of keep up. It's end to end. But actually, I think I'm going to stop it here when it comes to this video. I will say that, yes, again, face Roman, the selling was at times a bit like exaggerated and overly dramatic. He kind of had this vibe where he was doing the typical, look at me, I'm the underdog in every match and I've got to come back and defy the odds and beat my opponent, which when you're someone such as him, who, you know, rarely gets pinned, cleaned, constantly wins matches, and, you know, is of a particular size and build, people don't really buy into that character, which I think was always a bit of an issue with Roman as a face. Then, yeah, you have his style as a face where he's just, you know, constantly moving around and doing different attacks and hits. Quite similar to John Cena's. Didn't really perform many actual wrestling moves. I didn't really see many holds or grapples used by him in this match, if any, besides maybe the Samoan drop. And yeah, it was, it just seemed like, his style, especially when it comes to building the momentum, was like quite similar to John Cena's. And, you know, maybe that's something else that kind of contributed to, you know, at times the fans reacting to him as they did, and him performing in ways that can be seen as underwhelming at times, because, you know, it was kind of a cut and paste situation, which may have been forcefully applied to him, where, you know, he's wearing somebody else's clothes. You know, it's not tailor fitted to him. So, yeah, that's face heel. And now we're going to move on to heel Roman and just look at the contrast, look at the differences between them.
He's had it here. He's been hot, and right now there it is, the springboard uppercut by Cesaro. The champ's down, caught him in the mouth, and that right there may be a wake-up call by Roman Reigns. You see Heyman in the background.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about this, just like how with the face Roman video, I'm going to start with the heel Roman video by talking about his selling. But before we get into that, this is their recent match, Roman Reigns versus Cesaro for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania Backlash. Boy, was this a technical masterclass and a A-grade lesson in in-ring psychology. Great match, enjoyed every minute of it. But, you know, getting back to the nitty-gritty of this all, immediately you could see that when it comes to Roman selling, it's, you know, he's taking his time with it. You know, it's a bit slower, it's more measured. And it has an added bit of realism to it. Like, it feels like he's actually absorbing the pain. But yes, by taking his time to sell it, you're absorbing it. You're showing that, like, ouch. Like, you're taking that time to feel the pain and how it's kind of affected you. So that would make sense from, you know, the whole standpoint of simulating a fight.
Trying to fight back and bounced off again.
And, you know, just a little touch here. I like this. I feel like heel Reigns, the man behind the character Joe Anoa'i, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, but he's just paying that bit more attention to the small details. It's the little things that matter. Like what you see over here, where just before he's about to return to the ring, he just gives the announcer that kind of like mean mug, that little intimidating look. And you notice he does it, you know, the second time. You know, the first, you know, initially Cesaro, he was struggling with Cesaro. Then, you know, he bashes his head against the announce table. The second time, gets him down, and then he just gives the commentator that look like, hey, I've got this, I have this under control. And then it's also just him kind of exemplifying and letting the viewers as well as everybody within his vicinity, understand that he has this under control. He's in the driver's seat. He's got the time and know-how and security to be able to look around, take his time, absorb the environment. It's Roman's time. Yeah, then, we have this headlock, this new type of headlock that he's executing on his opponents. I'm sure I'm not the only person who's noticed this. I'm not necessarily from the most, combat-orientated background myself, but it looks cool. And I would just think from a practical standpoint, with this type of headlock where you've kind of got like the sort of wrist crossing over on both sides of the head, that it may be the type of one where it's a lot more difficult for your opponent to kind of wriggle out of and try to kind of pick at your fingers, and it feels like maybe you can execute it a bit tighter, and maybe depending on the placement of the wrist, you've got like the kind of hard bony part that's pressing against their temple area. On the other hand, I think like the drawback could be that you're not able to maneuver as much with it compared to a traditional headlock. But nonetheless, it looks cool. It's something different, and then it just owns in on the fact of like the different layers to wrestling and different holds. Like there's so many different ways to skin the cat and to add that variety and just keep things entertaining and different. And my man Reigns is just on job when it comes to this. Let's continue. I like what he's doing here. As you can see, there's a change in moveset. There's a change in style and delivery. So for anyone who watches Reigns, who's watched his matches enough, they know that normally, particularly as a face, he had this move where he would get the person in the corner and then he would kind of do like clubbing blows. He would deliver 10 clubs to the chest area, kind of similar to what Sheamus does, but just like from a different angle. And he would, do that and count up to 10. And of course, as the face, is a good face dynamic in terms of, you're playing to the crowd, you're interacting with them, they're counting up to 10. Whereas the Reigns now, he's not doing that anymore. He's just, got the person in the corner. He's straight up throwing forearms. He's stomping a mud hole in him, stomping him down to the ground, fully utilizing the 5 count. That's the heel edge to him, the grittier, more, I guess, relentless and just intense Reigns. Yeah, if I could just say, like, I just found this funny, like, just the way he was kind of selling the 2 count. Just thinking to himself, like, why why doesn't he just like give up? Why doesn't he just quit while he's behind, And again, it's just like, a nice, more realistic and relatable form of selling. It just like, this heel Reigns just feels more real, more legitimate. And this is just one small example of it here. Another thing I wanted to talk about is just, the kind of layers, the variety, the increased variety we're seeing with Reigns' facial expressions and just kind of how he's expressing his emotions, his range of emotions that he's expressing within the match in terms of, frustration, surprise, cockiness, doubt, all of these different emotions, and you just see them on his face. He just like expresses it so well. And another thing that is nice about that is, since when you watch Reigns' matches, especially as a heel now, and we're going to go into an example of it, you're beginning to see that not only are you getting variety with the facial expressions, but that diversity of facial expressions is kind of feeding I guess Kevin Dunn in the back, in terms of you're seeing like more variety with the camera angles within his matches. There are more close-ups to his face. They're coming at like so many different angles because he's using his facial expressions to tell the story. And he's given the camera people something to work with in terms of what they can zone in on and how they can use that to add to this story. That is what the camera is about. The use of cameras and how you angle it, how close, whether you zoom in or zoom out, all of that is to emphasize and focus on certain aspects of that interaction. And Reigns, with his layers of storytelling and character work, it's just giving them more. They're just eating it up and they're just like making the most of it, as you're gonna see in a moment. Hey, jeez, the homeboy Roman. I love it. This is just superb and just the splendor is just great. Like, again, remember what I said about going back to what I said about the camera angles and the way he's utilizing that and how it just adds to the match and just gets you even more emotionally invested. He's just having a ball. He's having a blast. Like, hey, DB, taking shots at Daniel Bryan. I hope you're enjoying your time in the house, kind of like mimicking his wrestling style with like, the kind of working away at the body. Just like excellent way to get a reaction. That's what you call generating heel heat. And it's just, this is what professional wrestling is about. This like 10 to 15 seconds of showboating that he's doing here will generate more of an investment and emotion into the match than like 10 or 15 minutes of like these regular matches that you see nowadays where they're just kind of like doing taekwondo kicks and diving outside of the ring and just flipping from one end to the other. And it's like, okay, nice acrobatics, but where is the story here? What is there to kind of make me care about this? What difference do I get seeing you guys wrestle and doing your spots and just, I don't know, flicking on some random action movie, or I don't know, like, again, more of this. The rest of hopefully the guys in the back are watching this and learning. And it's like, wow, just like, just look at these camera angles. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not necessarily a fanboy for Kevin Dunn and the WWE production crew in terms of their obsession with like the whole camera angles and, just them doing too much in terms of like the constant shaking of the camera or like cutting from one angle to another like 10 times in 5 seconds. I'm not a fan of that. But I'm a fan of the camera work here. And again, it's because of the performer that is there. He's telling a story and he's given something for them to work with. Like, he is, he's kind of like, he's helping with like the lighting and the backdrop. And all they have to do is just hit record and just follow his lead. And like just this angle alone is like, You could get these matches with heel Roman and kind of get shots of the different camera shots and his facial expressions, and it's like you can take them and put them together and like just make a comic book strip, just use those different facial expressions to just help you tell the story of the match and talk about what happened. That is the sort of stuff that you need. It's like this is like, you can't sit there and tell me that this angle here is just not picture perfect for a comic book strip. It's great stuff, brilliant, nice camera work and character work and acting, performing on the part of Reigns as well. Again, look at this. Look at that camera angle there. Again, another scene in the comic book strip right here. And also, yeah, it's nice camera work in a way that, yeah, they are doing it from like a kind of head-on position to highlight how Reigns is kind of kneeling over Cesaro and how he's kind of like the superior of the two in this manner. He's the stronger one. Yeah, I guess that goes back to the booking and the kind of message that they intend to show the viewer in terms of how Reigns is prioritized, perhaps. Or maybe that's just me reading into it too much. And here, I like what he does here. So yeah, as you see, again, just another kind of nice little touch. So, you know, I think Cesaro tried to perform a move on him and then his arm gave out, you know, building on the kind of arm injury from the beginning of the match. And then, you know, Reigns just, he just kind of has this moment where he just sort of stops for a moment and just kind of measures his opponent. And he just sees that like, you know, you're done. You're spent. Your arm is given out. And now I'm gonna strike the final blow. I'm gonna hit you with the coup de grace. I'm gonna hit you with the guillotine, which is what he does. And he just locks in that guillotine choke. Great stuff. Woo! Hey! Aye! That is just something else. Like, just great mat work and just muscular endurance and stamina. Like, that's not as easy as it looks, especially when it comes to the pace, the quickness at which he did that float over. Like, that is impressive. Like, they by this time they were going at it for almost 20 minutes. And then you have to think of like someone like Roman in terms of his like size and build and all of that muscle he's carrying on his body. And then he just goes and floats over like that from one side to the other. That's pretty strong and a great show of abdominal strength. But anyway, you know, I'm going to end it here. Sorry that I probably ended up, you know, spending a lot of time talking about this. This is the first video, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Expect more like this. You know, if there's anything that you think I missed out on surrounding the comparison, please let me know in the comment section. And if you have any recommendations on like other types of videos, whether it's like how a wrestler wrestled as a heel versus a face, or vice versa, or maybe you know, different wrestlers wrestling against certain opponents or in particular match stipulations, maybe how they wrestled in NXT or other promotions versus how they're wrestling in the WWE, you know, whatever it may be, just kind of drop it in the comment section and yeah, let me know and then I'll like see what I can do about it. But yeah, if you managed to make it all the way to the end of this video, that's really appreciated. Thanks. Be sure to, you know, do the usual stuff like subscribe, give it a like, comment. We can discuss and get into it. But yeah, thank you for watching and yeah, that's me for now and peace.